This episode may contain strong language and adult themes. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's 22 Dropouts. Can you believe it's been a week since we were last on? And what a week it's been. Rugby is back. Apparently, the national leagues have started in the UK. They're starting all around the place. In fact, Julian, you've had some rugby already, haven't you, mate?
Yeah.
Hello, by the way. Say hello, Julian. We haven't introduced you. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we've been going for weeks.
Oh, shut up.
We started in July. Yeah. We started with 7s in July. With 15s have been going for ages.
Now,
what are you talking about? Starting now.
What have I heard this week? I'm sure something in the papers about Sweden banning something coming in. Israelis. Why have you banned the Israelis?
Have we banned the Israelis?
Yes, you've banned Israelis from coming in because of their spike in COVID. You horrible people.
Oh, we banned Americans as well.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Talking of Americans.
Jump on the bandwagon. Go ahead.
Jumping onto the bandwagon, it's Phil in Vegas. Now, Phil, it's not as sunny as it usually is in your office. Do you want to tell the nice viewers on Teleland while you're in sort of semi-darkness today?
Not really.
Okay, moving on.
My left eye, I scratched my left eye Saturday morning, and I've been living in darkness for the last 3 days because if anybody's had an eye injury, it's incredibly sensitive to light. And in the last 2 days, I couldn't even look at a light bulb, even one of those little night lights that has a 1 watt capacity. It's brutal, but today is a little bit better. So hopefully I'm on the mend. I need to be on the mend because I got to go bust our guest appearance here in Colorado.
Perfect opportunity.
We can't see him at the moment, so nobody knows he's there.
Oh, pirate! You need to be a pirate. iPad.
I was a pirate all weekend. My wife laughed at me.
That's it. Normally you'd only do it at a sevens tournament, but now you can do it everywhere.
Arr,
Jim lad. I can just imagine him dressed up as what's that guy out of
Captain Jack Sparrow.
That's the one. That's the one.
I got a
the
story
next time
on that.
we see you, go on.
I got a story on that. I have pictures on my Facebook.
Number of guns he's got.
Well, on my Facebook page, I went on. I'm a rugby guy, but I love costumes. And my wife and we went on a cruise about 6-7 years ago, and I dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow on a cruise ship for formal night. And
now, you say there's a story
of the show.
You say there's a story there. We already know this because Star has sent us this photo. Have a look at this. Anyway, talking of Jack Sparrows, welcome, Tom. Bit late. Turn the lights on. I know Phil can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to sort out putting this TV on, so it gives me a bit of
wait,
light.
while you're sorting that out, just shut up because Phil's got something serious to say. Now, look, since we've last been on, the United States has sent us some very nice weather, and it's 26 degrees here at the moment, but about 83% humidity. Sadly, there is a story behind that, which is not a good story at all, and that's the hurricanes that have swept up the southeast coast of the states, particularly hitting Louisiana quite badly, and even further north, haven't they, Phil?
Yeah, all the way up to Jersey, New York, Massachusetts.
But the Rugby Foundation is doing something as much as you possibly can to help out.
Yeah, so actually, it's interesting that we're looking at creating a program called Rugby Supports under the Rugby Foundation, and it's going to be focused entirely on disaster relief within the rugby community. So helping get them some much needed toiletries, maybe generators or box fans for the windows, cleaning supplies and things like that, right out to the rugby community, and they can help disseminate it to the needy within their own little local communities.
So is this then going to, let's say like a local rugby club, you take a load of supplies there and then let that rugby club decide how best to distribute that?
Yeah, so our objective on this go around, and I'm working with the USA Rugby Youth and High School directors, and trying to identify school programs that have students that are maybe available to help out work with getting it out to their local communities. And we haven't even identified any specific local communities yet, but our objective is to raise funds, and we're going to buy the supplies and everything in Lafayette, that's closest major city west of the hurricane damaged area, even though Lafayette was damaged, but not to the extent east of there, including New Orleans and right up through Tennessee. But ultimately, our objective is to get as much supplies nearby to save on the cost, so that we could put as much of it into buying the much needed materials to get it right directly to the community. So it's about a 2-hour drive from there to get to Baton Rouge, and about 3 hours or so to get to New Orleans.
That's superb, mate. And you'll be taking over FEMA next with the Rugby Foundation, without a doubt.
Well,
No,
I work in emergency management too, right? So there's a lot of that capacity.
Absolutely. And you know, hats off to you and to everybody over there. And I'm sure that that's something, as we grow the Rugby Foundation around the world, that's something that tragically we will probably be involved in other countries, but we wish, you know, we didn't have to do that.
Right.
Anyway,
sadly, we need to do it. That's
yeah,
the bad
yeah,
part
absolutely. And do you know what? I think in the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, we've realised that it's not just developing countries that need that emergency aid. Sometimes it is actually very, very well, you know, first world countries, because when things go wrong, they go badly wrong, and they need major infrastructure, major investment to just to get them back on track. Never mind to get them back to where they used to be.
Yep.
Anyway, talking about getting back on track. Hello, Tom. Have you finally sorted your stuff out now?
Yes. Can you see me now?
Well, we can see your cheeks, mate, because you've caught the sun this weekend.
I have.
Now,
it was
we
about
noticed
5 minutes into my match on Saturday that I asked some of the players if they had any sun
I have
cream.
to say.
You asked for sun cream.
Because on your ref kit.
You asked for sun cream after you started the game.
Yeah, it was. I cleared out my bag after all the sevens and forgot to replace the sun cream.
Right. I've muted him because there is no excuse for such terrible behaviour. However, we were reminded tonight that there's one thing we haven't done for a few weeks, Tom, and you can unmute yourself now as long as you shut your gob. It is time for the Tom's Cider Challenge. No, you don't. You're right. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock now. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
You've got to go all the way down. I don't care if it's under your desk. You've got to go all the way downstairs. In 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
He actually is going faster. I mean, he made it to that door in 3.5 seconds.
No, mate. When I put the clock up, that was like 27 seconds.
33 seconds.
Slow it down. In fact,
the decimal.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that period between him getting up and going to the door, and I'm going to actually slow it down on the video. The problem is we'll all slow down as well, which will be quite funny.
Mike, we don't need to drag out this podcast any longer. What the hell?
Whoa! Hang on, what's that? Is he down? He's down. 40 seconds exactly, mate.
2 minutes, 42 seconds.
I beat the 12 minutes it took you last time.
I think it's better than you did last time. I did. I think that's a new record.
Considering that someone left their clothes there out in the middle of the hallway as well. I just pushed it over.
We don't want excuses.
Obstacles?
We don't want excuses. It's now turned into a steeplechase, as you can tell. Now, talking of people breaking records and things like that, actually, we've got something of a record breaker on the show tonight, because he has held some really great figures for his rugby, particularly in the 7 series. Not that he does it much anymore, but you will have heard this guy every time that you are watching Rugby Sevens on the World Series. And particularly if you're over in the States, you'll definitely recognise the dulcet tones of Mr. Dallen Stanford. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks yourself. I'm really impressed with that run, Tom, down those stairs. I mean, from what I've heard from the gang, this is probably a record evening for you as well. So congrats.
Cheers, thank you.
Dallen, I got a question for you, buddy. How would you have described his gallant trot to obtain that alcohol?
Very similar to a water buffalo as he just roams through the living room of his house there. I haven't seen him up and down the stairs yet, so I can't commentate on that, but it really has been majestic to watch so far.
Wonderful. Oh, mate, what a professional. And if you had to talk about his time and just how it's probably the best of his life, how would you describe that?
I would say it's the top 3 finest performances that Tom Reed has ever had in his life within his own household.
That's outstanding.
The
man, Dallen Stanford, the man who put spring back in Springbok.
Thanks, Big Phil. Great to join you, hooligans, on this pod. What have you got in store for us?
Well, mate, I think for those people who don't know about Dallen, tough, because we're going to come on to that later, because he's just started the show off with such great commentary. He's had an absolute superb career as a player, but I think we'll start with his broadcasting career. Was it 2016 you started with the World 7 Series, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right, exactly. I started commentating a few years before that at Infinity Park, Rugby Town, USA. It gave me an opportunity to do some sideline work. I really enjoyed it. It was really cool and exciting. And I honestly didn't know that you could be paid to talk about rugby. Kind of what you guys are doing right now, except, without the financial reward, I assume.
And the swearing.
We don't get any of that.
Donations are gratefully received. So how did that first opportunity to commentate on any sort of rugby occur? Just a network of people you knew, or did you go chasing that sort of work?
Yeah, so I'd done some media work with the USA Rugby. I went to the Rugby World Cup in 2011 to New Zealand with the Team USA, and that was a great experience. A ton of different duties that you get thrown into, and there's nothing really prepares you for being a media manager, particularly at a World Cup. So many different things. In fact, I remember I had to field all these phone calls, and a special phone you're given by World Cup. They want to speak to the main players you have, like Takudza Ngwenya and Todd Clever and all those famous legends. And the nice thing is I knew them from playing sevens together. So I was kind of one of the team, but also as one of the staff members. So it was kind of an easy role to fulfill because I also knew what the players wanted. So that was great. But I remember one of the practices, Eddie O'Sullivan, there was an injury, and he's like, looks around, and there's a couple of other staff members there. He's like, all right, Dallen, on you go. And I'm like, what do you mean on I go? And so I'm wearing like running shoes. I'm up against Taku Ngwenya on the wing, trying to mark him in a scrimmage. Anyway, it was great fun. So I kind of wore a lot of different hats over the years. And then when I retired from playing sevens, I really knew I wanted to be involved in a bit more media. And a contact of mine that was broadcasting matches at Infinity Park said, well, Dallen, you know the players. We normally get former internationals to either be color or sideline. So just jump in. You love talking. So they knew I had that going. So from there, kind of, it was honestly a dream come true. Finally worked my way up into the booth, and I realized that there are three main roles. There you've got the sideline, you've got the analyst, which is generally the former international player, and then you've got the lead commentator or play-by-play that talks during the live action. And that was more my role. I suited better to that, to bring energy, bring excitement, and that sort of thing. And so I did that for a few years. And then the dream job was getting on the Sevens World Series, because that's something I'm so passionate about.
Hey, Dallen, I was just checking my phone from back in 2011, and I don't see any missed calls from you.
No, well, we're in New Zealand. It was a really slow dial-up.
I was there
the internet
too.
wasn't even working, so it was.
Now, before we go to a break, Dallen has come up with some immense quotations in his time. One of my favourites is that you said because of course you went to Japan, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
As one of the lead commentators at the Rugby World Cup.
I didn't hear you. I was in the stands.
Oh, you were? Yeah, there we go.
Even though as an American, South African, you understand rugby, but as American, you don't understand 15s, obviously. We have to leave that to Phil to educate everybody with the Rugby Foundation. But he said of Cobus Reinach, he's more dangerous than climate change. What a fucking ace line.
Well, educational and funny.
This is the thing, Mike. So earlier in my commentary career in the US, there was a gentleman who managed USA Rugby called Nigel Melville, who you guys may have heard of or know of, right?
We've all met him on the sideline. Let's put it that way.
So he was not a fan of bringing humor into commentary. And you know, and again, I understand if you're from a different generation, you're used to different things. So I said to him, I said, okay,
he just
I
doesn't
get
like
that.
humor, mate. He doesn't like humor. He doesn't get
Well,
it.
exactly. So I actually was told at a certain times when commentating US internationals not to bring any humor into the game. I kind of was at a clash there because I was like, okay, well, you're always told to be yourself because everyone else is taken. And, you know, you're also hired for a reason. You bring whatever you bring to the table in any job that you do. And so for me, you know, I always, I said, okay, I need to find a balance. You can't just, it's not like a sevens tournament where you can just be slinging one-liners and having a good laugh. So at the Rugby World Cup, I said, okay, if there is a big moment and something special happens in each game, I will try to bring one humorous or one strong, powerful punchline or one-liner to it. And it happened to be Reinach beating the whole team by himself with a kick over the top and a great run. And of course, we do know how terrible and how real climate change is and how dangerous it is. So I thought that was kind of perfect.
Well, do you know what? I hope Greta didn't see that show. She'd be on the canoe straight to Japan with her mum and dad and the entourage on the 737 following closely behind. And you'd have had to explain that one. Now, the other one I love from 2019 is that you said of Kotaro Matsushima. You said he's so dangerous, Freddy Krueger has nightmares about him.
So, well, this is the thing. The thing about that game, which is so amazing, was that it was my first and only Japanese game, and their support at the Rugby World Cup was immense. The stadium, we would get there like maybe 4 or 5 hours before a game, right, to prep and kind of get acclimatized. Were there before us, queuing and waiting to go in. So I've never seen anything like it. As soon as the gates opened, 40,000 fans were there, dressed in red. Plus, some were dressed in the supporters' gear to support the opposition, so they would have fans too. Yeah, so it was unbelievable. So with that, I knew that they had to bring one line in at some point, and Japan had to score 4 tries to keep their hopes alive to qualify for the quarterfinals and everything else like that. And so they scored in the 81st minute, you know, that 4th try. And so, yeah, that was just a really special moment. And a lot of people ask me, do I come up with the lines on the spot or do you make them up and that sort of thing? It's 50-50. Some of them, you know, like Tom Reed's brilliant run in his household, you know, is very water buffalo-ish. So that you can just come up on the spot. But other times, like Kotaro Matsushima, you're like, you know, what could be good if a scenario happens? And obviously, I thought that might be well received, and it luckily was, you know.
Now, I've got the challenge for you. As we go into the break, I want you to say, he's so dangerous in Japanese.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't pick up the full language when I was there.
So I tell you what, can you say goodbye or we'll see you after the break in Japanese and we'll teach you how to say it, he's so dangerous, in the next couple of minutes.
Sayonara, your sleek sensations.
And with that, we'll take a quick break. See you in a minute.
When you need clear and concise match official communication systems, look no further than the brand new AXIWE AT350.
Radios are they're always useful, they always help us, especially AXIWEs, where all 3 of us can be open at any time, we can have open communication.
Available now from refcomsglobal.net. Investing profits into match official development worldwide.
Welcome back to the 22 Dropout podcast. We've got several sleek sensations and a couple of podcasts with us here. I'm Dallen Stanford, joining you for this episode. And make sure you check out all our socials. Links above me. Make sure you search at 22 Dropout. And we've got more brilliant action coming up. As they say with Kotaro Matsushima, Karere wa totemo kikin deso is the Japanese for he's so dangerous. Freddy Krueger has nightmares about him.
Right, listen, Nick Heath, everybody else on the circuit, that's how you do it. Well done, Dallen. Do you know what? What I'm going to do is just commission you. Phil can pay you in Diet Pepsi, it's fine. Just big shout out to our Diet Pepsi sponsor. cash please, so we can pay Dallen. And I think Dallen should just prepare us a whole list of links, and we can have Dallen on every time, because Dallen can promote what's above his right shoulder. Dallen, look, I can't have a rugby hive in the background without talking about it now. We can talk about your rugby, that's been and gone, but the rugby hive is a thing of beauty of the present day.
Yes, it is. Thanks so much for teeing it up. Lockdown happened, and obviously we all had limited work opportunities. My job generally relies on 50,000 people joining together in a stadium and a bit of rugby going on. So while that didn't happen, a friend from Canada who I played sevens against on the series back in the day, Robin McDowell, messaged me and said, hey, let's kick off a podcast, talk to either 7s or 15s, coaches or players, current or former, men or women, and just get their thoughts on their career, advice for young players. And so we kind of teed that up, and I was lucky to get Brian Habana on for the first episode. So that's always good when your first guest is somebody that people know of, and such a nice guy, and he's done so much for the sport. And he raced the cheetah in real life. I mean, I know Phil can't say that.
No, but Tom can. He races the cheetah to the beer fridge every week.
He's in Vegas. He's probably met a few cheetahs.
I mean, Phil lives in Vegas. He's chased a few cheetahs around.
He has. Exactly.
Now, interesting, because I mean, setting the bar high there with Brian. How the hell do you? I mean, come on. So you set the bar right up there with Brian Habana. Who was on the week later?
Yes, that's a good question. I think we had Nolly Waterman, episode 2, England 15s legend. The beautiful thing I'll say, being on the Sevens World Series, you get to meet a lot of these stars, you know, in and out of the HSBC boxes, whether they're ambassadors or they're for promoting the tournament. And so that's great. So I've met Brian a few times at the legs of the series. And then the Rugby World Cup, I got a chance to work with Joel Stransky. Him and I commentated, over a couple months together there when we were in Japan. So he was on a bit later. Frank Bunce, ended up going to his wedding, New Zealand legend, one of my favorite All Black centers of all time. So yeah, random people along the rugby world, just obviously tapping into those guys' stories and their knowledge. And it's just been, for me, it's been just great fun, just chatting to them. And the fact that we're able to push it out on a podcast is great. It's a bonus, you know.
And you missed the big one. You know, you could have done this earlier. You could have started this in 2018, and you could have interviewed me on the World 7 Series in Dubai, but you just
There's
didn't.
still time.
So.
There's still time, mate. So.
No, there isn't, because we're not. It doesn't look like we're fucking going this year. Not as an AR on the 7 Series anyway. We might be going invitational, but that's about it this year. Because of course, limited opportunities. Let's talk about that now. The World 7 Series. I mean, my head is spinning with what they're trying to do. What's going on to make them make these decisions, and how you join one to the other. And now, of course, another two legs have been cancelled. The women's series was already down to 2 legs anyway. What's your personal view on how it's affected the series, and what would you have done if you were sitting at the desk in Dublin making the decision about how to restart it?
I mean, it is so complicated because we received drafts of many different scenarios and many different tournaments and events, and so obviously when 2020 happened, you know, everything rightly so closed down, and we just knew, okay, let's revisit it the following year. And it is sad that there will only be 2 tournaments, you know, in Vancouver, one in Vancouver and one in Edmonton for this current series, and then they're crowning a champion. I personally don't think they should crown a champion of the series. I don't think they should have awarded that. They can award a champion for each tournament. That's great, fantastic. But you really can't decide a series on 2 events. I mean, even when I played back when they had 6 stops or 8 stops in the series, you know, that's good. That's a good knock. You know, then it moved to 10. You know, so that's great. So that's my opinion. In terms of the following year, 2022, hopefully there'll be enough legs to make it a real decent run of it. But again, I'm all for player safety, for everyone's safety. And again, traveling from around the world to events, I'll never forget doing the LA Sevens, and we had, you know, and Vancouver just before everything happened or during when it just started. And I was like, hold on, we're at a mass event with teams and players from all around the globe getting together. And if you're a fan, sure, you're in the audience. I'm interviewing these players and stuff like that. So like it was a little bit nerve-wracking, I will say that. So, you know, I think they're doing the best they can. My personal opinion about the champion, I've just shared that, of course. But again, you know, I don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions in Dublin.
No, you're right, mate. It is incredibly difficult. I don't know if there is an optimum solution. I personally, I think it should have just gone by the wayside this year and start again, rather than trying to run it in reverse because then you've always got that problem, haven't you, of when to start again. And as we've seen, but nobody expected COVID to have this much of an impact around the world. We all thought it was going to be a few months, if that. I mean, we were still talking, weren't we, boys, in April, that we'd be playing rugby again by the summer last year. Because that's how our show started, is some idiot in Malta said, so we all got cancelled on Tuesday night. So on the Tuesday night, rugby was cancelled over here and elsewhere. And he said, we decided to have a beer on Zoom. And he said, this would make a really good show. How wrong he was. It's made a really crap show. Well, you weren't on at the beginning, were you?
No,
Jules?
I wasn't. No.
Oh, well, I didn't know you then.
And it got sensible. We talked sensible things. Okay, we got pissed the first one, but
no. Actually, nobody's ever got quite as pissed live on TV as me with Mike Friday.
Yeah,
doing the Wasp special.
That is the one I got recommended to watch, and it is the one I have watched.
Yeah, Geezer.
He's a great man.
Still there.
He's a great man. Yeah.
Oh, I love Mike. We go way back, and but yeah. So we started with Brian Habana. We went to Nolly. A couple of months ago, you had Cecil Africa on, mate.
Yes, absolute legend. Cecil obviously goes way back in his magical Sevens World Series career, and then the fact that he came to San Diego was really cool. So my little involvement there, Cecil reached out to me, and I kept in touch with some of the players, obviously, and folks I've met on the series. And particularly because I'm a South African based in the USA, I'm going to get a lot of spam messages from South Africans who want to play here or move here, or I get a lot of, hey, my son is a brilliant rugby player. Can you get him a scholarship to, some of the big universities in the USA? So
just ask Phil.
There we go. Outside of just being polite to those folks, when Cecil reached out, I was like, oh, this is great. And he said, listen, I'd love to play 1 season or 2 in MLR. Can you help me arrange that? So straight away, I messaged Zach Test, who obviously we had played with on the series, and Cecil played against him. And the next week they were in chats and signed him up, and there he was. So it was just great to be able to get a player like Cecil over to experience America and play in MLR and raise the level. Because the one thing I will say about COVID, which has been a positive here in rugby in America, is that we didn't cancel a single MLR match all year. So we did games all the way from February until the final in August. Got a chance to commentate a lot of those games. Our commentary was a different setup for the first time. We were in a remote studio, either in Indianapolis or in Austin, Texas, caught in the games on a screen. So that's always tough because you don't get, if there is any sort of atmosphere, camera work, you don't get to see ahead of the ball. You just get to see what the audience sees on camera and that sort of things. And sometimes tough to identify players, from quite far away from the camera. But outside of that, it was great to have rugby on and kind of be involved with that all year.
Now, back in 2006, you actually held the record for the most points scored in the USA Club's Sevens National Championships. What did it feel like to getting a real points winner in Cecil Africa on, who scored 1,462 points on the World Sevens Series?
Well, I always joke with all the guests in the Sevens World Series, even though I played 3 years in the series, I only crossed the line a few times. So more of a distributor, when you got the likes of Todd Clever or Chris Wiles or Taku Nguenya on the end of the line. So wherever they're on, and we had Santi Gomez-Coro, we had Ben Gollings, the all-time point scorer. I just take their tries, which is like 200 or 300, and add my 4. And so then I say, in total, we've scored 304 tries on this episode. And obviously knowing that they've scored 99.9% of those points. Exactly.
They couldn't work without your support and your delivery, mate, without a doubt. So, that was back in May when you had Cecil on. Who have you got on for September?
Yeah, so we just had Damian Mcgraw on. We just popped it out literally a couple of days ago. He was involved with, he had some great results with Canada, took them to their first ever World Series tournament title in Singapore. He took Samoa to a title win as well back in the time when he was there. He helped Spain 15s, and then now he's with Germany in 7s. And the great thing about Germany is that they will be featuring at the Vancouver and Edmonton Sevens, so we'll see them there. And they also just played in the Rugby Town Sevens when I was commentating there, so I got a chance to see his side there. So it's nice to see, these other countries doing really well at Sevens and edging to see if they can be a core team on the Sevens World Series. So Damian Mcgraw was a recent guest and just a great mind. I mean, his big thing was he just got try to get his players to believe in themselves, So each coach and each player has a couple of simple things, but you add them all together and it's just brilliant to hear their stories, you know?
Oh, that's excellent, isn't it? And where can people find your podcast?
Yes, great question. Thanks for the promo there. Rugbyhive.com is the website. We're on, wherever you catch your podcasts, social media at Rugby Hive, and it's on Instagram at My Rugby Hive. We're popping a bunch of stuff there. In fact, I just chatted to the famous Broccoli Man. I don't know if you guys know of the Broccoli Man. He goes to rugby events in the US with huge bushels of broccoli. He's wearing a onesie, a Solo Cup onesie, and he's dancing for the whole game. Is an unbelievable. He's the real MVP, I think, of American rugby so far.
Phil, you've got something to chase now. You've got something to overtake, and you've got your mute button to take off, mate.
I think it's better if he's on mute, guys. Let's be honest.
I hate broccoli, but if Pepsi were to sponsor me.
Mate, can you imagine? Right, Pepsi,
broccoli.
Pepsi. We have had, mascots galore from, they started in the States. We've got them in rugby over here. We've got wasps. We've got sharks. You've got Broccoli Man. Imagine Phil running up and down the side of the pitch dressed as a bottle of Diet Pepsi.
I'm just glad you didn't say I was going to go dress as a showgirl.
We could do that as well, but I'm thinking more corporate here, mate.
Have you guys seen Avoman? Have you seen Avoman on the Sevens World Series? Because Phil could dress as an avocado. I mean, you've got the hair for it.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll see you in a minute. So welcome back to. If you knew what I just fucking cut. If you
Dallen, Mike, stop for a second. Dallen, can you, Mike, let a professional do the intro, please?
Okay. So yeah, it sounded better in my head than it came out of my mouth, which is a lot like my refereeing.
That's what he said.
Welcome back to part 3, where we've decided, because I'm so shit, that we're going to hand over to Dallen again to bring us out of the break. So, Dallen, it is over to you, sir.
Well, welcome back to part 3 of the 22 Dropout podcast. They're more dangerous than climate change. We've already used that one, so we'll go back to Phil's got more steps than the Great Wall of China. Welcome back, you legends.
We're more dangerous than a bottle of Diet Pepsi.
Ooh. Promo.
There you go, promo. There you go. See, that's how you do it, Dan. That's how you do it. You've got to be in there, mate. You've got to be in there. Anyway, listen, tonight, because we've never had. I say this to everybody, but don't tell Dallen. We've never had anybody so amazing as Dallen on the show before. So he has taken up a huge amount of time. But that's what guests are
so
for.
insulted to every other guest we've ever had. You know that.
All the other guests don't actually watch the show, so they'll never hear Mike say it anyway.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
What happens is the guests only ever watch the show that they're in. So they all think theirs is the best show. And of course, Dallen, you'll do the same and you'll think yours is the best show ever. Anyway, Tom, do explain the lack of sun cream this weekend and what have you been up to? Because we've not really heard from you since you arrived late and we just bullied you.
Yeah, I was bit of a last minute job on the Sunday, but on Saturday, local game, last minute change, team pulled out, so we had 30 player squad versus a 16 player squad, so it was a little bit different, but the smaller squad pulled through. The last minute pop-in actually won, which was a great game, but very hot, and as I say, within 2 minutes on the pitch, I was definitely regretting not putting the sun cream in my bag. But the Sunday was much better. Sunday lastminute.com on the Saturday night, having a chat with Christoph and Nick Wood, offering to fourth official for them at King's Home for the Jack Adams Memorial Weekend, which was an absolutely great day. Two
Good game.
great matches of rugby, and some brilliant stuff. And it was a really, really nice weekend and really moving as well.
That was the game where there was a podcast recorded afterwards, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. Yeah.
And you sent us a photo of this podcast being recorded. What you don't know is what Tin said to me on WhatsApp, just how much his ankles, his knees, and every other part of his body fucking aches after that game. So how we managed to do a whole show straight after the game, I don't know. But Sir Tyndall, Lord, I take my hat off to you. I couldn't do a couple of minutes in the game anymore. Never mind playing like that. But that's not what I wanted you to talk about. I led the horse to water and it shit in the pool. That's what happened. That's a line you can use in your commentary, Dallen. You can lead the horse to water, but it still shits in the pond. So this week, the big news is I've not started my timer clock over here. So I'm just about to do that. No, the big news this week is Tom. I didn't start the clock again. Tom has been elected chairman of the RFU National Youth Council. And I think we need fireworks for that.
Golf clap, definite golf clap.
Yeah, it's proper clap, round of applause. Tom, what the fuck, to everybody else in non-RFU land, what is it and what does it entail?
You know what, the worst thing is we can't think he's blushing now with all the praise.
Oh, he's fucking blushing, I'll tell you that.
So the National Youth Council is an arm of the RFU, which is used to get the young voice of rugby sort of through directly into the centre of the sport. So we sit on different RFU subcommittees, RFU council, and my new role will basically be the face of the National Youth Council, talking to all the thoroughly interesting people at the RFU and organising everything that we do, essentially. So I'm really looking forward to it and the season ahead. It's going to be really exciting to continue to pushing and doing, hopefully, some great work and improving the game that we all love.
To be fair, mate, ever since the youth council was formed, and you've been on there since the beginning, haven't you? You've just taken over as chairman.
I've been on there for the last few years, yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay. So they have done some really good work, and I personally, I think it's made other people step up in other roles. Now that they see these new individuals coming along and forming these teams. So well done to that, and well done to Sam, who can't be asked to be with us tonight. No, actually, for once, Sam is actually busy doing rugby. He is not shagging or picking anybody up from the airport or singing Flair of Scotland really badly, because Sam has just received his qualification as a World Rugby educator. So well done, Sam.
Good job, Sam.
Yeah, that's enough. Anyway, Phil, you sent us a video last week from the delightful islands of Hawaii.
I was there for my anniversary with my wife for 20 years.
Bollocks!
She is the third toughest woman that I know.
The first two ex-wives are the first two toughest.
Correct.
Correct, yeah, thought so.
No, much like everything that I do, I always try to tie in a little bit of rugby wherever I can. And I met with the Maui Police Department as well as the Honolulu Police Department. And we're going to be activating the Rugby PAL program, flag rugby program, under their initiatives and supported by the Rugby Foundation. And just for those who don't know what PAL is, it's the Police Athletic League. And they have, wrestling, or they'll have track and field, baseball, boxing, whatever. But our objective, obviously, is to focus on getting rugby into programs that integrate activities with police, with communities. And I'm very excited about this because obviously I'm going to have to probably go back next month, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to go back and make sure they have enough calls on hand.
I bet they twisted your arm for that, didn't they? Oh,
darn.
No, go on then.
Now, Dallen, actually, when you finished playing, one of the things that you did was sort of like this, wasn't it? You were involved. You were the LA director for Play Rugby USA, or am I getting my
Yes,
names mixed up?
no, you spot on. Exactly like Phil said too. We worked with PAL, we worked with after school programs all across Los Angeles, and the program was flag rugby for young boys and girls, primarily in underserved communities, and those were elementary and middle school kids. We started with 6 schools, and in the end, after 5 years of growing that program, we were in 150 different schools. And it was fantastic because, the parents, they were concerned about rugby because what they heard about rugby is it's brutal, it's bloody, lots of drinking, all those kind of traditional things that parents may have heard of. But straight away, we explained to them it's flag rugby, it's non-contact, it's co-ed as well. And often our young girls are way better than the boys because they listen to, some of the strategies that the coaches try help them with. And so it was a wonderful youth development program. And Play Rugby USA has a head office in New York, and they're still going strong. Since then, they haven't expanded the LA program, and unfortunately it's fallen away for now. But yeah, youth development is something I'm very passionate about and still want to get back into now that we've moved here to the Northeast,
So Dallen, you bring that up because I'm going to be working with ISIF.
Yes, absolutely.
Out of LA on a flag rugby initiative, as well as esports.
That's great. Exactly. Yes. Stuart Crone and ISIF, they've done brilliant work that side for many, many years. And the thing about, why I like Play Rugby USA was also because we had programs in other cities. We got a chance to take our LA kids for the very first time. A lot of them had never been on a plane before, and they represented LA in their school because they won our local tournaments. And then we went to New York and played in the big New York tournament, and the kids from LA won. So it was fantastic for them to meet other rugby players from another city, and everybody got a chance to kind of bond over that experience. And to this day, their parents are so thankful, that their program is this. And Phil, love what you're doing, pal. I know we'll connect after this and see how I can get involved,
Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, and this is what it's all about, isn't it? Making those connections and helping people and bringing people into the rugby family. And one of the things that we're currently working on there we go, look at that, Police Athletic League. And mate, that's nothing. You've literally bought a half flat ball to your office. Not like this.
It's only half flat because I haven't put air in it in a month.
But yeah, I mean, look, the initiatives are great, and one of the things that you will see launching in the next few days, if you haven't already, is the partnership between Sevens Referee and the Rugby Centurions, and that's going to be extended to the Rugby Foundation as well, where we've been offering to young referees, young coaches, and that will go further with the Rugby Foundation, the chance to join their Future Leaders program on a fully funded online course over the next several months. So, thank you to everybody at the Rugby Foundation. Thank you to everybody at Rugby Centurions, and thank you to all the team at Sevens Referee who's managed to make this possible. And we've now got Hong Kong, Singapore, Sri Lanka, India, Kenya, Nigeria, USA, and I'm hoping that Phil has got some more to come over that side of the world as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Polynesian community very quickly, like in Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji, probably in the next 3 months, within 3 months.
It's brilliant, and all that started as things do in rugby, don't they? They just start from a chat, something like this, and all of a sudden it's exploded. So absolutely brilliant. However, I need to take a serious tone with you now, because it's time for tonight's This or That quiz with Mr. Dallen Stanford. Now, Dallen, before we go on to this, mate, and look, I know you grew up in South Africa, and you played a lot of your rugby university over there. You played rugby in the US. You've worked in LA. You're now all over the place. In 10 seconds, and we're going to give you a countdown, I want you to name all the cities that you've lived in since you left South Africa. If you're ready, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Los Angeles, Austin, Westport, and now Providence.
Go, look at that.
Well, if you had said like that I've traveled to or named.
No. I need another week.
You haven't got time for that.
But yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, some rugby players do stay. You look at Delalio and people like that, one club men throughout their entire career. But actually, that's not what it's like for most rugby players, particularly outside of somewhere like the UK, like England. It is very much about taking those opportunities when they come and moving around. And yes, you see a huge amount of the world, but it is very disruptive, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, playing wise, when I came to the US, I landed in Los Angeles because there was a friend of mine from university out of Cape Town, South Africa, that was there working in some computer job. And so he knew a rugby team out there with a South African coach, and they flew me over, and I got a chance to, I didn't know rugby was big in the US back in 2003. I played for a team called the Occidental Old Boys, who was like an alumni team of the college there. And so I had a brilliant experience, and then joined. That's a funny thing. The Old Boys
Division
were actually
3,
bloody,
by the way. Division 3.
We're Division 3. We're actually bloody good. We went to nationals for sevens one year, and that's the stats you read, where I was lucky enough to score some points there. But our team was brilliant, and we ended up coming 5th in the country. We lost one game, and everyone's like, "These are no Old Boys. These are
Have they played at the New York Sevens? Because I'm sure I've refereed the team with that name.
Maybe they went on a little poison tour. But Ballinshaw is my team. I joined in the end with a bunch of brilliant players, and so we ended up winning nationals in 15s and 7s, and traveling around the country a bit, and did some great stuff for those guys.
And the travel opportunities are just amazing in the States, aren't they? If you're in a sports team, the places you can go. So the most important part of the show is the this or that quiz, and it's against the clock. But the rules are really, really simple. I'm going to give you 2 choices, and you're going to pick one. It's a bit like psychoanalysts, but we're going to analyze your answers, because we know you're going to rush off today. We're going to analyze your answers without you being here, which is even better. We can talk about you later on. Can we have 90 seconds on the clock, Tom? Are we ready? Can you give us a countdown, Tom?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Dallen Stanford, sauna or ice bath?
Sauna.
Fish or chips?
Chips.
Ketchup or brown sauce?
Ketchup.
Netflix or Amazon?
Netflix.
TikTok or Tinder?
TikTok.
With a straight face. Cardio or weights?
Cardio.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Golf or gym?
He's just waiting for it. He's waiting for
Flip flops or sliders?
Flip flops.
Oxfords or brogues?
Rose.
No.
Blondes or brunettes?
I don't even know what that was. What was the next one?
I thought you were a gentleman. Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes. That's because my wife's one.
That's what they all say. Boobs or bum?
Boobs.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Coke or Pepsi?
Whatever Phil drinks. Diet Pepsi.
Oh, Pepsi, that's it. He's getting the hang of this. Ale or lager?
Lager.
Ooh, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Calvin Klein's or French Connection?
Calvin Klein.
Sevens or 15s?
Sevens, you legends.
Saturday Night Fever or The Lion King?
Saturday Night Fever.
Pass the ball or run with it?
Definitely run with it.
And a bacon sandwich or a sausage sandwich?
Sausage sandwich.
Oh, look at that.
Time. Look at that. It's almost like we planned it.
It's like we
Nothing
planned
controversial in there, Mike. Why didn't you throw something in?
Tom, in 90 seconds, can you go get a refill of your drink?
I've got to get to it.
I've got the clock going.
4,
clock going.
3,
2, 1.
Go!
Come on, you water buffalo. Let's see it. Let's see it.
And we're going live now to Mr. Dallen Stanford for the commentary of Tom running down the stairs.
Now, you call him a water buffalo, but I've heard a hippopotamus is faster.
How funny.
The hippopotamus is faster, that's right. But I need to see how he goes up and down the stairs to be able to tell the difference.
Oh, okay.
Or hear it.
Yeah.
Or hear it.
Now, hang on. I'm just receiving in my ear the fact that he has fallen over the clothes horse on the top of the stairs. Dallen, over to you. How is this going to affect his performance?
Oh, well, here it comes back. This is a record time. Has he actually gone the distance? I mean, this could be a dramatic turn of events. Haven't seen this since the war, and he's back in his seat. Tom Reed, world record champion in his own house. Unbelievable, shattering his previous records. He is turned into a hippopotamus. Forget the water buffalo, what I said earlier. It's on fire.
Oh man, I love this. Now we're not going to go because you're on such a tight time scale. We're not going to go on, but I'm through these. But I'm glad you went for brunette and boobs. Clearly, that's that matches the wife. So there you go. And you were so professional with your TikTok and Tinder answer because the rest are just there to butter you up, quite frankly. But you can tell did you ever play as in the backs by any chance?
Exactly. I honestly,
because
yeah, I've been to one ruck. I've been to one ruck before, and it wasn't pleasant. I got it smoked. So yeah, I learned.
Did you show your ID and they said no, thank you, sir? You can't come in here without a man.
The referee was like, "What are you doing here? Get out, get to the backs where you can sidestep and score tries. You know, let the forwards do the hard work and win the games."
Now, I've got to say, you sort of you didn't really dodge the Oxfords or Bros question, and we put that in.
I didn't know what that is. What is Oxford or Bros? What does that mean?
See, Phil knows because he's a Canadian. He's a gentleman. And we did think that being South African, you might be a gentleman too. But clearly, you've just spent too long in America.
Shoes.
What can we say? Let's put it this way: if we'd have said moccasins or deck shoes, where would you have gone?
Oh, you see, I would have goose-stepped those as well. Just given their no-look dummy and stepped out of there.
So, ladies and gents, what we've proven tonight is Dallen's shoe cupboard is quite empty and just has a pair of flip-flops in. Anyway, moving on, because we are trying to finish quite quickly. Now, I don't know whether you've ever seen it. You've obviously watched Friends and stuff like that, haven't you?
I was just in New York at the location where they filmed it, you know?
Well, to be honest, mate, I'm surprised you haven't filmed and recorded your podcast at the MTV studios in New York. So, you know, we are amongst a total professional here. So if you were looking around now, just between me and you, because nobody fucking watches this, right? Just between me and you, if you had to line up the women there, which one would you snog, which one would you marry, and which one would you avoid?
This is just between you, me, and your growing audience.
No, nobody fucking watches. It's just between. In fact, no, it's just between the five of us, mate.
Okay, so what do we have? We got Monica Geller. We got.
He knows them as well. I'm impressed.
Rachel, yeah, of course. So
Rachel.
Yeah, and then Lisa Kudrow's character is Phoebe. Okay, so what are the three options again?
Snog, marry, or avoid. This is an extra, by the way, but I'm going to.
Okay, snog,
because
marry, or avoid.
I think we're on to a world record here.
Okay, so I think I would marry Jennifer Anderson. I would. Oh shucks! I would kiss.
Because you don't want sex with her, obviously.
Well, that depends how your marriage works on your side. I would snog.
Ask anybody who's got an ex-wife how it works.
I would. Well, she's successful as well. She's driven. She's motivated. She also has. Her shoes are limited to walking in the white sands of the beach, you know, on tropical islands like Phil does, you know. So we don't need our shoe game doesn't.
So what you're telling me is that she's just got flip flops in the cupboards as well.
That's right. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. I think you're onto something here, mate. Let's go into this a bit deeper.
Well, I've already given. So Lisa Kudrow unfortunately gets the drop kick. And it's not a drop kick from the 22. We'll take the drop kick from the try line. Held up over the line.
So basically, you don't have to kick her this far. You have to kick her a good 5 meters. So you've got to go harder with the I don't know if that's better or worse.
So hang on, what does that leave? Because I had a really good list for you, but I'm quite liking this one at the moment. We might just touch on this with Julian's game. So we're marrying Jennifer.
Yes.
We are
drop
kicking is avoiding, I'm assuming.
That's right, yes. And then as you said, snogging, which is a UK term for kissing.
Yes.
Correct.
Kiss then Monica Geller, you know? Even though Charlie Bing wouldn't be a big fan of that, but there we go.
Hashtag you heard it here first. Now, I had picked another 3. That was just going to be a little example, but mate, you've smashed out the ballpark. I mean, that's a proper drop kick from the other halfway line, the other try line. Now, I've got 3 other people, but we're now going to play Julian's version. Okay. And the three people are, it is your version, shut up. So your three people are now Waseye Serevi, Cobus Reinach, and Robin McDowell.
And you're playing the same game.
But not quite. Not quite. We've got a
Not quite.
slightly different version. And this is a version I played because I'd never heard of Snog, Marry, Avoid before, which is apparently a TV show in the UK. We always played a game called Fuck, Marry, or Kill.
Wow, that's intense.
Much more extreme.
That is crazy. Julian, bag of rubbish.
That's the best, most professional answer we have ever heard on the show.
I've only ever played this game with women's rugby teams, never with the men's.
And that's why we're going to leave tonight's show there, and we'll see you with another guest who's going to be nowhere near as good as Dallen until next week, in which case they're the best guest we've ever had. But from me, from Dallen, from our gang, it's good night. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We hope you'll tune in next week. Take care and good night. Bye-bye.